Today is October 23rd, 2024, and this meeting is for our real estate agents. And guys, first we want to start off with our buyer's presentation. We're not going to go through it, but we're just letting you guys know that under LJ Realty Tools, for your buyer's presentation, when you click on it currently, you will see our old buyer's presentation. So this link will be gone by end of today, and we will have set up link to this new PDF file. Okay, so some of you guys provided us with great feedback. Thank you for that. And everything on this slide is every agent should know everything that's on there, right? If you need any help with those, you should be setting up a meeting with me, and we should be going through this on one-on-one basis to make sure that you fully understand it. Right, everything when it comes to budgeting, right, when we're talking about down payment, closing cost, if a client is asking you, hey, Carvin, what's the difference between those, you should be able to say right away, hey, closing cost is going to be your fees versus your down payment. That's the money you're putting down against your property, right? The more down payment you have, less loan amount that you're going to have, right? Because you have more skin in the game. So you want to use keywords when you're talking to your clients regarding budget, regarding income, right? These are things that a loan officer might be saying, right? If you're stating the facts and then they verify that with a loan officer, this puts you in a better position because you know what you're talking about. So there are 30 pages on this. Every page has everything to do with a first-time home buyer. You should be bringing value to them. So, I highly recommend that every one of us know every word on this page. Do you need to mention every word at your presentation? Absolutely not. You do not you don't have to read this off. I had a brand new agent. She, Trisha, she just came on the first time she came on a presentation. I provided some feedback. Next time she came in, she didn't even open up the slides. She just had her own notes and she just went with the flow. Hey, when it comes to budget, when it comes to income, and mind you, she have not closed any deal with us as of yet. She's a brand new agent with us. And I can tell that, hey, if she speaks with 10 different clients or potential clients, that she will be grabbing at least half of them because she knows majority of the stuff, right? So if you're an experienced agent and you might say, hey, I know all this stuff, that's good. That's good for you. That means your presentation should be smooth, right? But the first time home buyer, they have no idea. Okay, someone that's just graduated from college do not know that she or he can actually use their job letter, right? These little things will make a big difference when you're talking to them. Credit scores, you need to understand it so you can explain it. You need to know the guidelines for FHA conventional. These guidelines do not change on daily basis. So we just need to know what are the guidelines, okay? So if you need to do a role play, you need to come to the office and work on with me at one-on-one, spend maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. It's all up to you guys. So let's become expert at this, bringing value to the client so this way they can stick with you. Okay. This is going to be your final chance because we will not be editing this. We got enough feedback. We have perfected it to our best ability. So I think we're going to be sticking with this presentation for quite some time. Highly recommend that every one of us know this. Okay. All right, guys. Next, guys, let's get started with our interest rates. The interest rates are not looking good for this week, right? They are heading back up. So according to Freddie Mac, they're hovering around 6.44 for your 30-year fixed conforming loans versus 5.63 for your 15 years. Not everybody goes with 15 years, but if they do, they can get a lower interest rate. We follow Mortgage News Daily. This is a link also on your resource page on your buyer's presentation is one of the last pages. And we want to bring value to the client. Hey, go on Mortgage News Daily on regular basis and see what the interest rates look like. So if you're a loan officer, you're definitely checking this on daily basis. If you're a real estate agent, you should be doing the same. mortgagenewsdaily.com. So according to them, as of this morning, we are seeing interest rates around 6.85%. If you were to go with FHA, you're going to pay a little bit lower interest rates of 6.27. Okay. So we are heading in the wrong direction. We saw the lowest that we saw was 6.11, and now we're heading back towards 7%. Okay. Next is your affordability, right? This is a real example for one of our clients. They qualified a certain amount, but they did not go with this amount, right? They had a good income of around $152,000, $2,000, husband and wife put together, but they only wanted to put down $35,000 for their down payment. That's perfectly fine. Okay. You have clients who are putting down $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. On the other hand, we have clients who are putting $150,000, $200,000 on down payment. Right? If it's a first-time home buyer, we know it's a struggle to save up for down payment, but we have enough loan programs that will allow them to put down low down payment. Okay, monthly debt, they kept it very smart, right? They kept it very low of $160 per month. The interest rates, because of their credit scores, was on the higher end, 7.49, and this file is about a month old. And the property taxes, the property that they found was in South Ozen Park here, and the property taxes were around $4,600. So based on their income and their debt, they qualified up to $832,000. But they did not want to go with the $6,000 monthly payment. They just felt like that was too high. So they ended up buying a property that was around $632,000, and their monthly payment was around $4,600. Okay. So your client wouldn't be, qualified for X amount. Check the pre-approval. So when you have a pre-approval for $800,000 and then they're buying a property for $600,000, that should be no problem. But if it's the other way around, if you see a pre-approval for $600,000 and you're putting in an offer for $800,000, you should put a hard stop to that. No, why are we putting this? Do you have another co-signer? Did you speak with the loan officer yet or not? Right, that you are trying to purchase a house out of your budget. I need an updated pre-approval letter to justify your offer. Okay, if it's on the lower end, that's perfectly fine. But how many times our agents or any agents out there, they hesitate to speak with a loan officer? Loan officer would love to hear from any realtors because they're trying to build relationships as well, right? So when you see a pre-approval, it might be 30 days old, 60 days old. When you're about to put in an offer, look at the pre-approval letter. On the bottom of it, you should see a loan officer's name, their phone number, and you should pick up the phone and call them. Hey, I'm about to put in an offer for Mr. James here. You pre-approved Mr. James about 30 days ago. I just want to make sure that, hey, is he solid? Can we close in X amount of time? Right? Will we have any issues with this file? Just a 5-minute conversation with that loan officer will go a long way with you. Okay? Any questions on pre-approvals, on affordability, guys? You guys can just unmute yourself and speak up. Next, you see these are stats for it's the national market data. So it's for the last 30 days that the inventory overall is increasing. We see that, but also are your interest rates. So, your client might be debating, should I buy now? Should I wait another 6 months so I can afford to purchase this property? But overall inventory is over 700,000 properties available right now. And a median price is around $439,000, right? We see price reduction around 40%, right? So that's what we always say. When you're about to get a listing, guys, do your comps. You don't want to just get the listing and you hold on to that listing and it's not selling and you do have to do different price cuts. The feedback I get is that, hey, if I don't offer that price to that client, right, to that seller, they're going to go with another agent. Would you still want to get that listing and not able to sell that property? Right? So you want to do your research. Hey, Vishal and I, remember we went to this for sale by owner and, we gave him comps for around $900,000. And he said, hey, that's what I'm thinking about, $900,000. But another agent came last night and he said he can get them $970, right? And he also mentioned that this property might be sticking on the market for X amount of time. But this seller right here, the whole property is vacant. He wants to get rid of it as soon as possible. The last deal that he was under contract with actually fell through. So now he's looking for a new agent. But do you think he's gonna give it to that agent that's asking or telling him that you can get 970? It's literally $70,000 over what the comps are saying. So if you want to grab that listing, maybe you can say 910,000 instead of saying 970,000. You don't want to put a huge gap where you're not able to sell that property. And these owners, they already have a good idea what the property's worth. So if you're just trying to bluff and try to get a listing out of it, it's going to backfire in the long run. Okay? You guys have enough tools. And if you are about to go on a listing, just send me the address one time. Hey, I have a presentation tomorrow. Just do me a favor and just check the comps for me. What do you think we should list it as? You guys can use me for that any day. Okay, but just keep it real when it comes to listing price. Okay. Next is that you see this stats for change in Hispanic ownership, home ownership rate in the last decade. And we see that in New York is up around 3% compared to there are some states where it's negative. But we have enough Hispanic communities in New York here, especially in Queens here. And when you speak to one of those, it could be, first-time home buyer, guide them, right? Guide them. Not everybody speaks Spanish in our office. We would love to have more bigger staff that speak Spanish. But even then, you can still bring plenty of value to these communities that really need your assistance, right? They're looking for a realtor. They want to be in that area. You have all the tools to show them those properties. So let's bring this stat up, right? We can help Hispanics, non-Hispanic. We can help anybody and everybody that's willing to purchase a property today. Okay. So the news headlines pretty much overall was showing that, hey, the mortgage demands dropped last week just because the interest rates went as high as we saw just now, right? People are a little confused. Hey, just 2 weeks ago, we were saying all the videos that we're making on social media, when we were mentioning at the meetings here, the interest rates are coming down. And now we're saying the other way around, right? Because data changes on weekly basis, actually on daily basis, but we see the effect on weekly basis, hey, where the interest rates are headed. Okay. Investments, right? Investors, they're always looking for good deals, right? So this is according to Warren Buffett. He said, I'll buy a couple of hundred thousand properties, that's single homes, if he could, because of the whole mortgage process, right? We know a few investors who own close to 10 properties. Some of them own more, right? But you need to work with investors because they're going to be VP clients. And a lot of investors, some of them, there's two different types. One investor would purchase the property, fix it up, and rent it out, right? He or she wants to start getting in the rental income and then maybe sell it 10 years down the line. He wants to build equity and he wants to get paid on regular basis through the rent. On the other hand, there are investors who wants to do a flip. They want to purchase the property, they want to renovate it, but they do not want to rent it out. So if you found them the property and they fixed it up and they want to sell it, who are they going to come back to? They should come back to you because you were kept in touch with them, right? You helped them find the property, got them a good deal. They had, renovated the property, maybe spend maybe 20,000, 50,000, whatever the amount is. Now they're ready to resell that property, right? They should come back to you. You have to keep up to, that flip is not going to happen overnight. It might take maybe 3 months, 6 months, but you want to stay in touch with that investor. Hey, how's the, renovations coming along? Let me come take a look at the property now. I know your goal is to resell it. So, maybe we can list it. This is a good time to list, whatever the time may be. So the point here is that you want to stay connected with the investors. Okay. So why would anyone want to purchase a property in high interest rates market? right? The interest rates are high. This is a very common question, and we had this conversation almost on daily basis. It could be in front of the office, it could be in the office, it could be on a phone call, on a text message. Hey, why should I buy right now when the interest rates are so high right now? So one is that there's less competition. If you think that mark is hard to purchase right now and you want to wait for the interest rates to come down, guess what? You're going to have more competition and you're going to see the prices go even higher. If you think today's market is high end, you're going to feel the burn in the next 6 months or so. Okay? So it's going to be less competition. There's few bars right now that's competing with you. The sellers have less offers coming in. If they were getting on average of 5 offers, maybe in today's market they're getting 2 or 3 offers. If they were getting 10 offers in a really strong sellers market, maybe they're getting 5 now. But it's just there is less competition right now, so it's less bidding wars. Okay. Especially for FHA buyers. If somebody's going to have an offer with FHA and conventional, we went through this cycle before. When you have FHA and you have conventional, the sellers typically would say, hey, FHA might have more restrictions, so we have another offer from conventional, let me just go with that. But in today's market, even if it's a FHA offer, they're not even looking at it. They're perfectly fine. Let's just move on. We know that we want to sell this property. We have a solid buyer. Let's just move on with this offer. But not when, the prices or the interest rates are in 5s, right? That will not happen. Next is your potential for price negotiation, right? Since the sellers are facing less offers, fewer offers now the first-time home buyer can take advantage of it. This is where you come in as a real estate agent. You say, hey, this is part of your, presentation as well. I'm not just negotiating the price for you. I want to make sure that we can get some comps for your repairs. If the roof needs to be repaired or if the boiler room, the hot water needs to be replaced, we will go ahead and put that in the price, right? Instead of offering X amount, let's offer $10,000 or $20,000 less now, okay? And the sellers might be willing to make a deal. Why? Because they simply have less offers in today's market. Okay. And this is the best part. Anybody that's purchasing a property today or have purchased it in the last 24 months, there's a good chance that they're going to refinance that property a little bit later, right? So while high interest rates might have higher initial monthly payments, there's always a possibility of refinancing when the rates drop. Right? Who wouldn't want to do that? Because it simply makes sense. Even the cost, a lot of people say, hey, there's going to be a cost to refinance. If the cost is $5,000 to refinance, but the savings is $1,000 per month, right, when the interest rates come down, of course, it's going to be no-brainer to go ahead and refinance. Okay? And then you have your long-term equity. Every realtor should know what the word equity means. That's going to be your profit after paying off your mortgage and all the other expenses, right? That's your profit that every homeowner is building over the years. So if somebody's renting and they're going to be waiting for next 6 months, they're not building any equity at all, because when they leave from that rental property, they're not taking anything with them. Meanwhile, anybody that's purchasing at interest rates of 7%, and when the prices or the interest rates come down to maybe high 5s, it will simply make sense to go ahead and refinance, and by then their already property value have gone up. Okay, maybe they purchased at $500,000 and now it might be worth $550,000. Okay, and the tax benefit. If you're renting out, you don't have any tax benefit. But if you're a first-time home buyer, you're purchasing right now, you're going to have deductions on your taxes for anything that you paid for your mortgage interest and your property taxes. Okay, so there's definitely tax benefit when it comes to a first-time home buyer. Okay, so you guys can review that with your clients. Like, hey, there's plenty of benefits when it comes to that. Next, guys, is your power of open houses. We really want you to start hosting open houses, If you are a listing agent, you should be hosting your own open houses. If you are a agent, brand new agent, and you want to get assistant, or you want to be the assistant for that listing agent, you want to make sure you get paid. So there's a form that I'm going to go in a few minutes with you, but just know these stats here, that open houses are still fundamental pillar for your business. If you're a listing agent, you should be hosting open houses, right? NAR reports that nearly 53% of the home buyers visit open houses, right? It simply makes sense. If I'm looking for a property in South Olsen Park here, I want to be able to visit the open houses and see what is on the market. I know the fact that when I hear the word open house, I don't have any obligation. I just want to go see the property. I just want to see what is it priced at and what kind of condition that is in, and then I can compare that with other properties out there. Okay? So when more than half of them, so when they're shopping around, maybe you're showing them private listings and all that, they're still going to go to open houses. You should go visit them with them at every open house. Okay? So here are some reasons to have open houses, right? And what value you're going to be bringing. But it could be the neighbors. There's times that you're go ahead and trying to find a buyer, and your buyer is literally your neighbor, right? He or she is just not fully ready yet, right? Maybe you think that the price might be too much or too little, whatever the case might be. And at an open house, they might come and say, hey, I see there's an open house sign. Let me go ahead and take a look at it. And there's some listing agents who actually go ahead and door knock, door knock at least 50 properties around that open house area. If you have invitation cards, you want to drop them in there. If you have a flyer, you want to drop that in there. But you want to set it up in a way that where your neighbors can see and they are able to come in and see the property. Okay? And not everybody that comes in is gonna like that property, right? So you have a potential of, securing them as a buyer's agent and show them other properties in the neighborhood. Okay? But you need to ask them, hey, are they committed? If you're the listing agent, every listing agent is asking now, hey, because of the new rules, do you have an agent? Are you working with an agent? If yes, show me your agreement. Show me the agreement that you actually have an agent. If not, then if you want to work with me, you need to pay me as well. Okay? So your goal should be that at an open house, you want to take as many names and numbers as possible. And you want to, set them up in KV Core. If they're coming to your open house, that means their preference is whatever you're selling at that property. If it's a single family, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, maybe that's what they're looking for. So you can set up an alert just based on that information and start sending them properties, and hopefully they can respond to that. Okay. So some people wonder, is like, hey, should I do open house on the weekdays? Right? Everybody wants to do on the weekends. Should I take advantage of weekdays? Absolutely. Right? It's going to be less traffic, but you still, whoever walks in, you know that they're serious, right? Because they're coming in and seeing the open house on weekdays instead of the weekend. So you're going to have time to engage with them and, really get to know them if they actually like the property or not. But if you can do on the weekdays, especially right now in the fall and winter time, we have the sun comes down a lot quicker. So if you want to host it maybe around lunchtime or a little bit later, it's perfectly fine. Test out different timing and see what works. Okay. And whenever you're hosting an open house, we get this a lot too, that our agents are hosting it or scheduling it on Stratus on the last minute. You don't want to do that. If you're going to be hosting an open house on this Saturday, you should be, scheduling it probably on Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest. So this way, all the websites like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, that particular property will show that it's an open house. And, if anybody has alert set up on their own, they can come to that open house. Okay. And if you want to put it on Facebook, on Instagram, perfectly fine. We have some Canva set up for open houses. Just send us the information and we can create one for you as well. Okay. So the signs, guys, we have signs at the office as well. If you are consistently hosting open houses, you should have your own signs with your photo on it, right? You can reuse them for many, many years. You can get 3 of them for $200. So it's a really solid offer. So if you guys need signs, let us know. But when you go there are times where people say, hey, I'm going to just write down their names on my phone. No, you need to have a sign-in sheet. Not everybody's comfortable just giving the information. They want to just write it down for you. Just have a sign-in sheet there, right? MLS broker full should be there. So if someone is asking you for what year this property is built, what are the taxes, you should be able to answer all those questions right away. Okay, it's optional if you want to bring in water or snacks for them, but it's not required. So some of the yeah, Vishal, go ahead.
As being a new agent, I have never done an open house before. So some of the things that I am concerned with, like how is it that can schedule an open house within the team, and if I can, if I could shadow someone just to be basically trained as to how to do it properly
Sure.
and to cover any mistakes if I make it along the way.
Sure, yeah. So I think we have few listings available that where I think Paul is one of them. He asked Sunil to do an open house for him. So yeah, you guys can do that. He can help you set up, show you the whole 9 yards for the first time, and then the second time you can do it on your own, right?
Awesome,
Yeah,
thank you. I'll reach out to him and try to see if I could get something arranged.
yeah, perfect. Sounds good. Yep. So people who are walking into your open house, right? These are a couple of questions that might be icebreakers for you. You can reword it in any way you want, right? One is that you can say, "Hey, I'm curious. How did you find out about this open house today?" Right? Did you find it on Zillow, Redfin? Did you see it on MLS? Right? How did they find it? Was there their realtor reaching out? How did they find out about the open house? Right? How have you seen many homes in the area? It could be open houses or listing. You're trying to figure out if they're actually active or not. Is this the first open house that they're just visiting, right? Or they have been, shopping around or looking around for last 6 months, right? So how many or have you seen, properties in this particular area, right? That you can say, hey, I find that most visitors that are coming to open house because they live in the area and want to check the value for their own house. So they might be a seller thinking that, hey, I want to sell my property. There's an open house up the block. Let me go ahead and see and what the property condition is and what they're asking for, right? So if they're trying to do that, maybe you can get a listing out of it. So you don't know what your client is really holding unless you have a conversation with them. Okay? So another one is, I'm curious, how long have you been looking for a home? Right? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? You just getting started? Right? Any of that. Have you seen anything exciting or made offers on anything so far? There are some home buyers who have made plenty of offers and they simply cannot get the property. Maybe they're lowballing, maybe they're going with the FHA loan, maybe their down payment is too low, maybe they're not able to make commit to an agent. So there could be a lot of different things going on with them. Okay. And what is your ideal time frame to be moving into your next home? Again, we're trying to find out when they would want to make that move. There are times where the client will tell you, hey, we really want to be in that area as soon as possible for whatever reason they have. Okay. On the other hand, they might be saying, hey, we're not in a rush. We might be, we're looking and we might be ready. Might not be ready for next 6 months or so. Right. Still setting up alerts for them is going to be a great option because you never know when that decision is going to change. Okay. So where do you live now? Which area? Is it, they're living in Queens and they want to move to Long Island or vice versa, or they're going from Brooklyn to Long Island, whatever the case might be. A lot of people who are moving or they were renting in Queens, the feedback that I get is that, hey, we have a parking issue, right? Anytime I'm coming home after 8 o'clock at home, I'm spending an hour just looking for parking. So that's a problem that you can solve, right? If you find them a property with private driveway, hey, problem is going to be solved for them. So you need to have conversation with different areas. All these questions you guys can, read it on your own and just practice that. So when you have an open house, you want to have them as icebreakers. Okay. So as we just mentioned, Vishal, so if you're going to reach out to a listing agent, right? Maybe he wants to host his own open house. He said, hey, I don't need an agent this weekend. I got it myself. Great. If not, he's going to have a licensed agent host the open house for him. So the question that I have is that, will another agent host the open house for free? It really depends on that particular agent, right? If you're brand new, you have no clients, you might say, hey, I might work for free just to, you're going to be shadowing me. But the next one, I want to make sure that we come up with an agreement. And we already have an agreement set up for you guys. It's under forms on ljagent.com. And you can see that under buyer's agent, hosting open house for another agent. Right? Very, straightforward. So you click on that link and you will see a form like that. So you will see the property address, you have the listing agent, you have listing agent's license number, and you have listing agent's broker's name, which is LJ Realty Team. And same thing for the hosting agent. This is going to be you, Vishal. So your name, your license number, and your company, LJ Realty. Okay, so that's the top portion. And now let's come out with percentage. So what couple of things can happen at that final walkthrough? I mean, sorry, not at an open house, right? A couple of things can happen. There could be it could be a client or a buyer coming into that open house with an agent or without an agent, right? So you need to have this conversation before you host the open house. And if you guys don't agree to these percentages, then you should not work together. So if hosting agent finds a buyer with buyer's agent, that means the listing agent is going to agree to pay a percentage to the hosting agent from their own commission. So if the seller was paying him 2% and you guys put down here 0.5%, that means that 0.5% is coming from his commission to you, because that buyer that came in with an agent. Okay. If number two is that if the hosting agent finds a buyer without buyer's agent, so a buyer walks in and the buyer does not have any agent, right? Then your hosting agent can represent the buyer as the buyer's agent and have their own agreement, and listing agent will agree to X amount. This could be 0, it could be 1, is whatever you guys agree on. So you have a buyer that walks in, either they're coming with an agent or they're coming without an agent. If they're coming with an agent, I need to grab some commission from your side. Mr. Listing Agent, are you willing to do that? If yes, what is the percentage? And if the buyer comes in without any agent, what are you willing to pay me? Prior to this, we saw what the buyer's agents were getting paid, right, from MLS. We don't see that anymore. So this is all negotiable. So you need to have both of these sections filled out. Hey, if a buyer comes in with an agent or without an agent, what will I get paid? And number 3 is that the listing agent needs to agree that the leads that you're going to be generating from that open house should belong to you as a hosting agent. Right? You spent 2 hours there and 5 people walked in, and now those leads that you generated, out of those 5, they did not like the property at all. But you have those 5 leads, they should belong to you, not to the office, not to the listing agent. It's going to be your leads because you're the one who's spending 2 hours there, right? And then you would have the listing agent and the hosting agent sign and date it and keep it for your records. We do not need this right away. We do need this when you're actually going under contract. Okay. So I hope, any questions on this, guys? Okay. Next, guys, open house is one thing, but any client that you're working with right now. The feedback that when I'm having a conversation with our agents is that, hey, there are some clients who are simply not willing to pay me. They don't know about the rules, so you have to explain that to them, right? This is our job. Hey, everything is changing for the buyer's agent, and I need you to be aware of it. If you don't trust me, or if you want to verify what I'm saying, here's the LIBOR's number. This is Long Island Board of Realtors, and you can call this number and see what they have to say about this commission structure, right? And they're gonna verify exactly what you were saying. We need to have two rule changes that happen. One is that we need written agreements, and we need to set a commission that I need to get paid before I start showing you the properties. Okay. So if they say, hey, I simply don't have the money to pay you, then you have to tell them, hey, my service is not free. It's simply not, right? I got kids to feed, right? I got to buy them toys. So whatever your case might be, that, hey, you need to tell them that, hey, my service is not free, guys, right? I can provide few options for you for sure. One is that maybe we can add the commission to the offer. We can simply ask the listing agent, hey, we have our agreement set up for 2% with me and you, Mr. Buyer, and the agent. Is the listing agent, when you speak to them, is the seller offering any commission to the buyer's agent? If yes, whatever that percentage is, you're gonna pay less of that. So if they're paying me 1%, we have an agreement for 2%, you only owe me 1% now. Okay? Or we can ask for it in seller's concession. Again, even some of the agents who have closed deals with us, they still are a little confused about seller's concession. I want to try to keep it as simple as possible for you guys, right? You wanted to make an offer for $500,000 flat. So this amount could be $1 million, it could be whatever the amount might be. That is your original offer. The owner and the seller and the buyers are agreeing to this. Hey, $500,000 is a solid offer. But if you need seller's concession, your offer needs to be higher. So it needs to be 510 if you're asking for $10,000 back. If you're asking for $20,000, then you would put it for $520,000 offer. Okay? So seller will give back $10,000 at the closing, and seller will end up with $500,000. Right? You cannot do this when you say, hey, our offer is for $510,000, and then say, hey, it's actually with concession. Right? If it's with, then we don't have an agreement. You need to tell the listing agent upfront, hey, your original offer. Hey, we want to put in an offer for $500,000. Do you guys agree? And if they say yes, but on paper we're going to put in an offer for 510, so we can get that $10,000 back at the closing table. Every listing agent does know the concept of this, but I just want to make sure that every buyer's agent know the same. Okay. So another simple option is that, hey, just offer a little bit less. Instead of offering $500,000, let's offer $490,000, because they're not willing to give any commission to the buyer's agent. Then they deserve to have a little bit less price. And this is the whole concept of this, NAR making these changes, was because of this, that, hey, the sellers do not have to worry about paying both sides now. So the home prices should, come down a bit. And this is where you're going to be making that happen with these stats. Instead of offering the original price of $500,000 and say, hey, the best we can do is $490,000, take it or leave it. Okay. So the new offer sheet is very straightforward. I hope every one of you guys are using this. It's called memorandum to offer purchase. So memo to offer letter here. And you see your purchase price in letter A is $500,000. If you're asking for seller's concession, then you're going to be putting that amount there. But now when you're asking for this, then you're going to make your offer price $510,000. And if you're asking for a commission, look at your letter F here. This is where you agreed on it. right? You're not going to fill both of these sections out. It's just to show you that both options are on the offer letter. If you're asking for a concession, it's going to be in your letter B. And if you're asking for commission to be paid, then it's in letter F. Okay? If you guys need any help with this, guys, please let me know so we can schedule, right, a meeting and go over this concept. You just need to understand this concept one time, then you can repeat it a million times. If you don't understand it one time, you're not be able to help any of your clients because you don't understand it. So let's spend at least 5-10 minutes together and just go over this on one-on-one basis if necessary. Okay. Next, guys, for rentals, we want to make sure that everybody stays in compliance, right? We do not want to go through any issues with you guys, right? We want you to keep it professional, and we want to do that the same for our entire brokerage. So absolutely no discrimination, right? We have to treat every client equally, right? We all know that. It's a law. It's not even something that you can avoid. It's a law, and it's the right thing to do, right? We should not be judging anyone besides the fact that they need a house and let me help find them a property. If it's a rental, let me try to find a rental as soon as possible. Okay? Since we started talking about rentals, more and more agents are coming and telling us they're doing rentals. Thank you. Thank you for that, right? And people who want to hide any of the rentals, shame on you guys, because just the fact that what we have to offer versus what we are requesting is day and night, right? And again, I know for sure I have a list of few agents who are doing that, and they will be gone from our brokerage pretty soon, right? We need every one of us to follow rules, guys. So no discrimination at all, and you need to work with all agents. If one agent is saying that, hey, could I see the property, and you saying no to them, and then you're showing to someone else, that is a big issue. So you want to make sure that it's available to every one of them. Okay, same thing for the tenant. But if your landlord, this happens as well. Hey, if the landlord says, hey, I am a Guyanese person, or I'm a Punjabi person, or I'm a Chinese person, I need my community people, then that landlord should not be using a realtor. They should not be using a licensed person that's gonna show to as many people as possible and not just show Chinese, Punjabis, or Guyanese, right? So if they're gonna be discriminating, they should be doing it just to putting up a sign on their own and not have anybody involved. So I know some of the agents say, hey, I don't want to give up that $1,000, $2,000 commission, but you're putting a lot on the line just for that commission, guys. Okay. So we are about 7 years into this, as a realty company now. From day one, we know that we will get audited soon. We want to make sure that every one of our agents is in compliance. Okay. When it comes to the closings, not just for the rentals, but for your regular residential units as well. Before, we were just asking for your agency disclosure, no problem. Everything else we should have on file. But now we're not even exchanging checks, right away. We have Sukman here, our office assistant. She's gonna review all the documents, and there's literally a list of 9 things that we need. Now 1 or 2 things is 9 of them. And every one of them explains that, hey, either your name is on there or the company name is there. So we want to make sure that we stay in compliance. So please, you have to be the one that's actually doing that. Okay. Next, guys, if someone is asking you, it's a seller's market or buyer's market, we're using Alto's Research, really good website. We use it on a regular basis. A lot of agents are using it, sending screenshots to their clients. So if you're putting in an offer in Baldwin and it's listed for $1 million, I probably going to put in an offer a little bit less than that, because it's a slight seller's advantage. It's not as strong as East Meadows. If I'm putting in an offer in East Meadows and if it's $1 million, I probably have to put in an aggressive offer. Okay, because it's a strong seller's market there. So if your client is in different markets, different areas, send them screenshots. hey, I did the research, this is what the property value is, we should put in an offer. If you really want to get the offer to be accepted, depending on the market, let's put it be aggressive or non-aggressive depending on the area. Okay, the website is called Altos Research. Okay, and this is part of our presentation too. You should be telling all your clients here there are different loan options, or different loans come with different credit scores requirements, right? We already mentioned that, but there are many clients or first-time home buyers, even when they speak to a loan officer, right, like Hassan here, and they might say, hey, Hassan asked them, hey, as a loan officer, what is your credit scores? They'll say, hey, my credit scores is, let's say it's for the wife, they'll say 720. If it's for the husband, 670. They're always going to say the highest amount, right? Whatever that is. But you have to explain to them that, hey, the high credit scores is really good. That means you're doing a good job. But we need to look at the worst case scenario and the worst candidate. So if it's for the wife, we're going to be using 710 because that's her middle score. And she qualifies for FHA, conventional, and non-QM. Her credit scores is really solid because it's over 700. But if it's the husband, then because of his credit scores, if both of them are on the same file, they only qualify for FHA and conventional. They do not qualify for non-QM loans. Okay? If they add another family member, if it happens to be sister-in-law and her credit scores is below 620, guess what? They only have a loan option of FHA, right? When you give them this detail and they go speak to a loan officer and the loan officer says the same exact thing, that is putting a lot weight on your knowledge because you're giving them everything up front. Okay? So little things like that will help a lot. Okay? Next, guys, this is the time to have your lead generations, right? You want to have as many clients as possible in your database, right? We know that in November and December is one of the slowest months for real estate because people want to stay put, right? Whatever, a house that they want to sell, maybe they want to sell after January, they want to spend the last holidays in this particular house. If somebody's buying a house, we are already in the middle of the year for the schools and everything, they don't want to make that move. But this is the time, whoever is ready, we gave you guys plenty of different positive things that why they should be buying it right now. But you want to have a lead generation strategy where you're actually, trying to get new clients, and then hopefully you're still, sending them properties for next 2 months or so, and they make the move early January, right? Or if you start in January, when do you think they're going to be making their move? Maybe after 2 months or so. So plan these things out where you're actually working. If this is a slow time for the market, this is where you want to actually focus on getting in more clients because there's less of the other agents doing that. So social media, guys, loan officers have a lot of restrictions. As a realtors, you do not. So you want to make sure you're presentable. You have a lot of slides or a lot of social media marketing set up for you. Open houses. So if you see an open house sign by another agent, right, go connect with that agent as well. When you're hosting open house for yourself, you're trying to get as many leads as possible. Okay, you want to work with all your referrals. Anybody if you're brand new, you should be going through your phone's database. Maybe you have 50 people in there or 500, but you want to connect with them and let them know that you are a licensed realtor and you are able to help them out. If you're experienced and you have closed deals in the past, you want to find out what the situation is now. Maybe they do want to sell that house. Maybe they want to move out, or they're really happy with that property. The point is that we connect with them and we stay connected with them until they want to make their next move. Okay? And immediate follow-ups, guys, right? It's like you want to be the judge for yourself. Like, how long does it take for you to pick up the call? Right? If somebody's calling you, do you pick up right away or do you get scared? It's like, hey, I don't know what they're going to ask. You are a licensed realtor. They might ask you something has to do with real estate, right? If you're not able to answer it, maybe you need to work on that. But we need to stop being scared when the phone rings, get friendly with it, and pick up the phone. And how long does it take you to call back these missed calls that you have? Somebody's trying to connect with you, and maybe you have a part-time job. Are you calling them back as soon as possible? And if they're sending you a text message, how long does it take you to reply back to that text message? Right, you have to put yourself in buyer's shoes as well. And what would you expect from a professional like yourself? If I'm calling a real estate agent and I want to see this property, I want to be able to get the answers right away, guys. So you should be, if you want to be active, you should be picking up your call. You should be calling back if you have a missed call and replying back to your text message as soon as possible. But that goes for any type of business out there. All right. All right, guys. Fun fact, guys. Since Halloween is coming up, did you know that in 1991, Supreme Court of State of New York ruled that the sellers must disclose if the house is haunted? This is known as Ghostbusters ruling. So it's just a fun fact that if the house is haunted, the seller must disclose that, right? Guys, for the loans, we just added a new loan option for Home One. So this is going to be for your first time home buyers who are looking for a single unit, and they can put down 3% down payment, and there's no restrictions on the income. They could be making $200,000 and we can provide that loan program for them. So maybe you want to reach out for them to them and find out more information about it. But maybe you just have a pre-approval question, you have a FHA question or a loan limit question. You're going to reach out to any of these loan officers. All their phone numbers is listed on ljmortgageteam.com. Right? We want you to go and start building relationships with different loan officers, different agents out there, and get your name out there. Okay? That will do it from my end, guys. I hope we learned a thing or two. Few of these topics were asked by our agents in private message. So anything that you want to review on your next meeting, just feel free to send me that a message. This whole open house concept was by one of our agents as well. So any questions, concerns, feel free to send me a message. Any last minute questions, guys? We're good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I will see you guys next time. You guys take care, all right?